Okay, hey everyone. I was just talking and I didn't realize that I muted myself. So I am asking you in the chat, can you guys hear me? And if you would, just respond to that you can hear me. And if anybody can't hear me, let me know. Everybody good? Yeah, okay, great. All right, so we went through this, we're practicing a little bit still with the technology. It's not something that comes naturally to me, so thank you all for, in advance, for understanding. I understand too that there are still people who are having trouble with the login information. So tomorrow I'm meeting with my assistant who's way more tech savvy than I am, and we will make sure that everybody has access to the membership area tomorrow. The good thing about having an 8-week class is that we have plenty of time to cover everything. I'm sorry I'm echoing. Yeah, I'm in an empty apartment. Sorry about that. But anywho, so back to that. So everyone will have access tomorrow with regard to the membership area. If some people have it, some people don't, but we're going to figure out what's going on and take care of that. Okay? I will want to show you the email. So I'm going to share my screen and then show you what that email looks like. So that email is right here. Welcome to the Bunion Solution 2.0. It's from fixyouonline.com and DL Walker. So that's what the email should look like from an inbox perspective, and this is the body of the email. This should have come to you guys around April 29th. Okay? You're going to click here to go to this page right here to go ahead and log in, which I might have already done. And this is what the membership page looks like. Okay? This is what you would click on to go ahead and review. But we're going to go through everything today. You're going to have access to this video tomorrow, and everyone will have access to the membership page tomorrow. It will all be taken care of. And if we have to continue and go later than the 8 weeks because we missed out, like I said, I think we're going to have plenty of time. All right. So this is what the membership page looks like right now. This is what the body of the email looks like. And this is what the email should look like in your account. Okay? So you might want to search DL Walker and look for April 29th. Okay? Because that's when it should have been sent. But we're going to get to the bottom of that. All right. So administration stuff is kind of over. We're going to get into the body of what we're going to be doing today. And that's going to be to talk a little bit about Kinesio-Tape, and then we're going to do a test together and go over the releases. Okay? So that's what's on the agenda for today. If you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and get to that right now. You can type them in the chat box. So if you go ahead and scroll down at the bottom of the screen, there should be things like, say, mute, video, invite, manage participants, share. Somebody's on my screen. I don't know what I did there. Sorry about that, but hello. So what we're going to do, yes, you have a chat button right here, and you can go ahead and type any questions in that you're going to have. Okay? So you can also, if you'd like, choose to be on video, where you can go ahead and click on the stop video and raise your hand or something along those lines, and then I can unmute you and you can ask your questions as well. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I bought this new fancy camera. So that is going to kind of shine on to the different things that I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to switch cameras right now and get into Kinesio-Tape. Okay, so we're going to talk about Kinesio-Tape. So just give me a moment and I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. So see, yes, here's my iPhone. We're going to talk about the Kinesio-Tape. So Kinesio-Tape is a stretchable tape, and it also has on the back, it has paper that you're going to be able to rip. These sections are 2 inches, I believe, or 5 centimeters, depending on where you're located. And the thing about this particular roll of Kinesio-Tape, you see it's pre-cut. Now, most of the time that's going to be fine, but for some of you, and we'll get into the different bunion types today, you're going to want to get a type of Kinesio-Tape that is not pre-cut. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. That looks like this. See the roll here? It's big, and this is kind of the industrial size, but you can go ahead and unroll as long as you need and then cut accordingly. So for some of you, that is going to be what's more appropriate. So just bear with me. For the next few weeks, pre-cut is just fine. So if you don't have the big roll, don't worry about it. You will also receive a whole PDF about Kinesio-Tape, and that will get put on your membership area tomorrow. And I will also send it out in an email. And it tells you more than you want to know about Kinesio-Tape, how to take it off, what types of tape to purchase, those kinds of things that are going to be important. What I will just say in advance is that if you live in a hot environment, I am in Florida and it's getting very muggy and hot here, what you're going to want to do is you want a very tacky tape. So there's a specific tape called rock tape that tends to be more for sweaty people, athletes in particular. So rock tape is a good one to purchase if you live in a hot environment like I do, and muggy. So, or if you're a very active person, that will be a good brand to get. If you have any other questions about Kinesio-Tape, feel free to reach out to me and I can answer that for you. Now, I'm going to talk about another type of tape that has an option also that's going to be appropriate for some of you as well. This is called Leuko tape. It is also known as Connell tape. So those are the 2 search words that you would look at. And this tape is extraordinarily stiff and tacky. So this particular tape is going to be important for people who have severe bunions. Okay, so they have a very big angle with regard to their big toe. So if your big toe is touching your second toe, I would very much recommend that you invest in the Leuko tape. It's about $10 a roll as well. The thing about the Leuko tape is you never want to put it on your skin directly because it is so tacky it can take off skin. So what you're going to want to do is you can apply it on top of the Kinesio-Tape. So your Kinesio-Tape is the base, and then you put the Leuko tape on top. There is also a pre-made base tape that goes with Leuko tape. It is like a white fabric-y tape. That is kind of, I would just stick with your Kinesio-Tape. But if you want to invest in that as well, sometimes this comes as a kit with the white pre-tape as well. So just keep that in mind. In lieu of Leuko tape, if you want to try this instead, you can use duct tape if you want something cheaper. Because what I found is that when you put the word medicinal, baby, or wedding, and associate that with any product, the price triples. So duct tape is also very tacky and stiff. And that is an option to try as well if the budget is concerning for you. Okay? So that is where we're at with tape. And again, feel free to reach out to me with any questions with regard to that. All right. Moving on. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate an assessment technique that I'm going to have you guys do every week. Now, I'm going to ask a question before I get to that because it was attached to the email that I sent out. Did anyone do that assessment yet with the paper and the pens? Did anyone do that assessment yet? Please just answer in the chat box if you did, because there was a video that I sent out with the Zoom information. Anyone do it? You can say no too. Good. Okay, good. Anybody else? Okay. No worries. It's very easy to do. But let me explain about it a little bit. And again, I might go ahead and share my screen on this to see if I have a picture. No, I don't. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about is that this particular assessment is going to get done every week. And in fact, today, I think we're going to do it twice because we're going to do a release technique. And I'm going to just put myself back on the screen here so you don't look at my tape. Hold on. I am back. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do this assessment every week. And this is going to be a great way for you to see your progress. Okay? So that's what I'm really excited about. And also, we are going to do it even before and after we do the release technique today and see how good you did, if there's any improvement. I don't anticipate there will be, but you never know. And I think that it's a really good way to assess before and after. So we're going to plot different points, anatomical points, on a piece of paper using a marker or a pen. Okay? So what I'm going to go ahead and have you do is get a piece of paper and a marker or a pen ready. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate first on a subject. I have someone here who's helping me out who has bunions. And I'm going to ask that you just watch me do it once, and then we'll do it together. Okay? So go ahead and get your pen and paper ready. I'm going to switch cameras again. It might take me just a minute to get lined up well, but you're just going to take a piece of white printer paper or loose leaf paper, and you're going to place it underneath your foot. And then we're going to go ahead and have a pen or a marker ready and get going on that. So I'm going to go ahead and change my camera, and we're going to see my tape again for a minute. And then we're going to go ahead and get lined up. Alrighty. Okay. So I'm just going to adjust a little bit more here so that it looks good. And we have a good view of the inside portion of your foot. Okay? So right about, I'm thinking that that's pretty good. And there's going to be 3 points that we're going to drop our pen down to. Okay, 3 specific points. The first one is going to be the inside ankle bone. Okay? So the inside ankle bone, if it's not prominent, you just go ahead down to the heel, you go up and you hit that point right there. Okay? So that's going to be your first point. And what you're going to do is you're just going to line your pen up and then just drop it down onto the paper. Okay? The second point is going to be the highest portion of the arch. Now, the highest portion of the arch is really kind of in line with the top of the ankle. Okay? So again, what you can do is just lay your pen right here, slide it, and then drop it down right there. Okay? The next point is going to be on your bunion. So going down to the bunion, we're just going to go ahead and line it up and drop it down to the paper. And then the final point is going to be at the tip of the big toe. So again, I'm going to go right here and drop it down. So I hope you guys are envisioning, I'm just going to lift this up so you can see. I'm not sure that you can see the points, but yeah, you kind of can, on the paper so that you can really get a sense of what's going on at the foot and what's in the entire foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Gwen to take her foot off of the piece of paper. And are you guys able to see the points okay? Yeah, I can see them on the screen. It's just not very big for me. So what you're going to do is you'll just mark, you can just indicate ankle. And I shouldn't do that. And right down here is going to be arch, bunion, and toe. Okay, you guys can see that? So those 4 places, you're going to go ahead and mark that. And then what we're going to do, what's really interesting with this particular bunion, if you notice, so if I look at the heel and the arch, or the ankle and the arch, they're almost in line, right? And that's a good thing. Now, for some people, that arch point is going to be inward, and that tells us something about their bunion, okay? Then if we look at the bunion with regard to the arch, it is not particularly far off. So the real dysfunction here is this guy, the bunion. And this is why we're all here. Okay, so the bunion is really a function of a bone called the metatarsal. So if you've watched some of my videos, a bunion is more of a metatarsal problem than a toe problem. Because if you see on this plot right here, the toe and these guys, again, is not that far off. It's a little bit off, but not that much. This is the culprit, okay? This is the problem. So now I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and I'm going to show you the skeleton of the foot and what I'm talking about, okay? So just give me a minute to share my screen. And here we go. Okay. So we're talking about the bone that's out of place here is this guy. Can everybody see my arrow? If you can hook, sorry. Can everybody see the skeleton? Can you write in yes or no? Or shake your head? Yes? Good. Thank you. Okay. So the problem here with this is this bone right here. And this bone on Gwen's foot is here. And if you see, the ankle bone is right here. The arch is in alignment. Even her toe is a little bit in, but not much. But it's this guy. Okay? So with Gwen's foot, what that tells me is that her problem is in, and you guys are seeing my arrow, is in this particular area. And if we looked on X-ray, dollars to donuts. This is really tight to this bone, and there's probably a lack of space either between these two bones. This is the second metatarsal and the third metatarsal, the third metatarsal and the fourth metatarsal, or the fourth metatarsal and the fifth metatarsal. So theoretically speaking, if we can just take this bone and move it so it gets in alignment with here, right, and create space so it doesn't have to deviate, then we can decrease that bunion size, or the appearance of it, or the pressure on it, okay? Because when a body is not in ideal alignment, it's not going to be able to function properly. So I have a saying that says alignment dictates function, frequency, and flow. So if you have a bunion, your foot and your big toe in particular are not functioning properly, and therefore you're going to be affected with your, sometimes definitely your balance, and definitely your walking. Right? Because the big toe is really important for walking. So what's happening in the real world is that everybody's trying to correct the toes by putting toe spacers in, when the problem is really in here. For some of you, the problem is going to be in here, and I'm going to show you some different bunion types, okay? So I'm going to show you an example of where the bunion is being caused by a lack of space in between these smaller bones, which are called tarsal bones. And some of us are going to have a combination of both. So give me a moment. And here is a great example of that. So if you look here, big toe is in alignment. Here's the ankle bone. And here's the arch. And then here's this bunion here. But look at how narrow this foot is across the arch. So again, creating space in between the arch here, and then also the metatarsals, which are basically, by the way, in your foot, are at the ball of the foot to the height of the arch. That's where your metatarsals are in real life. So let me go back to the other photo, show you the metatarsals again, right? So this is the ball of the foot, and this is about the height of the arch. Okay? That's your metatarsals. And for most people, right in between first and second at the height of the arch should be exquisitely painful when you're releasing on top and on the underside. So that is going to be where we're going to release today to practice. And when you're releasing in between the metatarsals, which is going to be homework this week, on top and on bottom, you're going to really want to get and focus in here. So it's almost like you want to take the bones and separate them. So with your releasing tool, you're going to be pushing this top part away. Because if you look at it, it kind of looks like a seesaw, right? Or a popsicle stick. So if this is tight together, this is going to be out. So if you take this and push it out, then this part that's out here should come in. Because it's a long, flat bone. So the same thing with these guys. So again, the focus is going to be more at the arch on the top and the bottom. That's where you're going to find your biggest restrictions. And if you look at your toes and your toes are close together, that's probably going to be the metatarsals that you need to go to. So if you have a third and fourth toe that are closer together than second and third, you're going to want to go ahead in between those appropriate metatarsals.
Hey, DL.
Okay, I'm hearing somebody speak, okay, and that's Doretta. I'm having trouble hearing you, so go ahead and, yeah, what's your question?
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, but all of us only can see your skeleton pictures, so I'm sorry we missed all that you were sharing.
So you can't see my cursor on here? You can't see my pointer? Okay. All right. So let me see if there's something I can do about that. I can. All right. So what I can do then is see if I can. Okay. I'm going to try to draw. We'll see how this works. Or use a arrow. See if this works. Aha. So here's my arrow. So when you're working on this particular area, that's going to be the direction. You guys see this, right? Yep. It's going to be at the height of the arch that you're going to want to go ahead and separate. Okay? And then if the toes have 3 joints, the big toe has 2. So this is the end of the metatarsal here, right? If you have toes that are close together, like 4th and 3rd, you're going to want to go ahead and work in here, and then pushing these guys apart. So I'm going to go ahead and try to draw, see how that comes out. Yeah, so you're going to try to get these guys apart. Does that make sense? So what I was trying to say before is that in most people, this is going to be very, very tight and excessively painful, and it should be. And because this is a flat bone here, right? In a bunion, what happens is that it goes like that. So if we can go ahead and, this is fun. If we can go ahead and work on this, pushing it outward, okay? Pushing this guy outward, right? Then theoretically, this one, I don't even know if I can turn it around, so I guess I can't, bummer. But this should go in the opposite direction. So let me get there. That should go in. Okay? That's the idea. Okay, so that is where we're going to go ahead and work this week. All right? Does anybody have any questions? Here are all drawings. Okay. Okay, any questions? Can you show us on a foot? Yes, I can show you on a foot. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and we'll put Gwen's foot back down. And let me just get the camera ready. Good. All right, give me a minute. Okay. All right. Stop share. All right, just give me a minute. We're going to switch to the camera again. Okay, great. Okay, so see about that. Just give me. Let's see how that's. How is that looking for you guys? Type in your answer. Are you able to see kind of the top of the foot, or does that need to be a bit higher? Is that good? A bit higher, okay. Let's see what I can do here. Maybe we'll do this. How is that? How does that look? Good? Yeah? Okay. I don't know why. I have to figure out how to get myself on the big screen here. I don't know why I do that, but. All right. Okay. So the metatarsal, right? This is the metatarsal. That's your bunion. Okay? So pretty much, again, the ball of the foot, which is right here. Okay? across the top is the metatarsals. And again, if you see a skeleton, some are a little bit longer. Camera move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Can I pull out?
Zoom out, yes.
Good. Okay.
A little bit more. Yes, perfect.
Okay. So that's the first metatarsal. And like I said, on a skeleton, those, they will be different. Okay, they're a little bit different, but they're kind of around the same point. Okay, and you can, we'll include a picture of the skeleton for you guys to have access so you can get a better sense. Okay, so then the toes, okay, the big toe will have two joints. So this is one, and it goes pretty much until the line in the big toe. So that is your first big toe joint, and you can't see it. There you go. That's the first big toe joint from there to there. And then the second one is from here to the end of the toe. So there's two joints in the big toe, but there's three in the other toes. So on the other toes, the metatarsal is about here at the ball of the foot. The first joint is to the line in the joint. That's usually a hammer toe, which it is a little bit on this person. Then the second joint is right here. So that's 1, 2, and then 3 to the end of the foot, to the end of the toe. Okay, right there. And that's the 3 joints on other toes. So that's kind of what they look like. Then they go to the height of the arch. So what you can do, if you guys see me, is that you can go in between the toes, and then when you hit bone, that's where that bone ends. So this is the distance of her first metatarsal. So when we're releasing, you're going to go into here, and it's going to be this point right in between first and second. That is going to be a big ouch on the top and the bottom. So the idea is we're going to move this in and try to move that out. That makes sense? And then at the top of the foot, what you're going to want to do is, say you have the first metatarsal here, that goes out. The second one is going to go into the opposite direction, and then you're going to want to separate 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5 to create more space. Okay? Another thing to note is how much space can you get underneath the arch of the foot? How far can you get your hands in? Now what's interesting is I can get my pointer finger pretty far in here. That's pretty far, okay? And what that's telling me, and you can even see it on top, she's got a very high kind of beginning of her arch. So that tells me that these joints right here are all clubbed together and need to be released. And then this should be a flatter foot. If this widens, this bunion will not be as prominent. So thankfully, Gwen is a great subject because she has 2 bunions. So let's get the other foot up here. Good, and switch. So on this foot, I'm going to go ahead and stick my finger underneath. Yep, still about the same distance, okay? And again, we're going to want to go into that height, bring this part, the top, out, the bottom in, and then we can work on the toe. But we're going to start at the metatarsal because that's going to be the important, that is going to be where the problem is. Okay? All right, I am just going to go ahead and see if there are any questions. And if anybody has a question, go ahead and type it in. Okay. Are there any questions? Because I'm looking at the screen right now. Everybody good? We're ready to move on? Okay, somebody's saying no. Okay, yeah, no questions. Good. Okay. Very good. So we're clear on what to do for this week. We're going to focus on metatarsals. I'm going to go back to the skeleton, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to look at the skeleton. So everybody can see the skeleton? Shake your head? Excellent. Okay, so what I found in working on a lot of different body parts is that it's kind of pointless to go ahead and I'm just going to try to figure out how to draw on this again. There we go. All right. It is a little bit, I'm going to try something different. There's a spotlight function to what that looks like. It's a little bit pointless to work on here, right, to separate this area, because if I have it separated the outside areas, then this area has no place to go, right? So the key here is that we're going to work on the outside bones first. So we're going to go to the T-bone, which is the first metatarsal first. Then we're going to do the fifth metatarsal. And then we're going to work our way in, okay, so we're going in between 1 and 2 and 4 and 5. And then we can go into between 3 and 4 and 2 and 3. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Shake your head. All right. Okay. So we're going to clear that. And for those of you just joining us, okay, for those of you just joining us, we're talking about, we're on to release here. And what I just said, and I'm going to repeat it because it's really important, is we have 2 release techniques. They are on your membership page. I talked about the membership page. Everybody will have access to it tomorrow, I promise, even if I have to send you the videos by hand, okay? So everyone will have access to what they need by tomorrow afternoon, and we have all week to do this, so we're good. We have 2 release techniques. One is called rotational release, and rotational release is going to be really important for people who have a toe rotation, okay? So somebody with a, I'm just switching my picture here. Sorry about this. I am trying to get a different picture on the screen for you to demonstrate. Okay, so here's somebody with a big rotation. See how the pinky, see how the toenail, right, is rotated completely outward in a different position. So this is what I'm talking about. So right here, you see that the toenail is completely pointed in that direction. Everybody got that? So when you have that going on,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's still on the skeleton.
Okay, that's interesting. You might need to refresh your screen.
Okay.
Yeah. See if that helps. Does that help, guys? If not, I will do something different. Yeah, no, maybe?
I'm still seeing the skeleton. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm not sure.
I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to go into a different, this should work. Now, do you guys see it?
Yes, I do.
So you see how the toenail is turned outward here? And so let me just get spotlight. So right here, the toenail is turned away, right? Turned down. What that usually tells me is that, remember, we have two joints in the toe, and then we have the metatarsal. Everybody remember that? So if this is turned out, usually the joint before it, okay, remember from the line in the big toe to the ball of the foot or the top of the bunion, is going to be that first toe joint. That's the first toe joint right there. So if the toenail is turned out, what that usually tells me is that this joint is turned in. And it could be because this joint, the metatarsal, is turned out, which is not uncommon. Now, I had a conversation with a surgeon who told me that a lot of times the muscle along the side of the foot, right here, okay, it's called the abductor hallucis, that for people with bunions, he often finds this muscle that should be on the side underneath the foot, and he actually has to resect it and reattach it. So that makes sense, especially so if people have that rotated toe, and that's why we're going to do rotational release on the toes and the metatarsals. Now, the question you might have is, well, what if I don't have a rotated toe? I'm going to say, hold on a second. I'm just going to put myself back on here. Okay, again. So my answer to that is that in my schooling, we found that rotation, it said rotation is the glue that holds joints together. So if you're familiar with the term core, yes, some people do have rotated toes in this group. So if you're familiar with the term core muscle, okay, all core muscles are rotators, and core muscles' job is to stabilize a joint. So they're very, very important muscles. So if something is the glue, if rotation is the glue, my theory is that rotation can unglue as well. So I am going to start with rotational release, which I did not do for those of you who are Bunion Solution alumni. This is something new and exciting. Okay? So what we're going to do, sorry, is we're going to go ahead and start with rotational release. Now, as the alumni now, and I'm just going to go back to sharing my screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. We're going to go back to, let's go back to this picture right here. Everybody see the foot? Yes? Shake your head. Great. So remember, with both release techniques, we have a stabilizing hand and a releasing hand. Going forward, okay, and again, this is going to be different than the original Bunion Solution, and you have somebody with that rotated toe going on here, right? So, one second. So you see that there is that rotation right here, right? What we're going to do is our stabilizing hand, whenever possible, is going to be at the joint, which makes perfect sense, because the reason that this bunion, okay, which is a buildup of bone or a buildup of connective tissue or an inflammation of some sort going on here, right? People develop bone hypertrophy or connective tissue hypertrophy or skin, excess skin is a callus, right? Excess bone is arthritis. And all of those things are caused by too much motion. So that's why, again, for alumni, that's why we're going to do that stabilization technique, that X marks the bunion, down the road. But for now, our stabilizing hand is going to be at this joint. Okay? So, with the rotational release, we're going to go ahead and do the metatarsal, which again is from the arch of the, from the ball of the foot to the beginning of the arch. How do you know how to find it? You go in between first and second toe until you hit bone. And then that is the first metatarsal. So it's basically from the bunion to about the beginning of the arch. Okay? So we're going to release, we're going to do rotational release at the bottom, okay, right here, but this is going to be more important because remember, this metatarsal is stuck, right? It's tight into the second metatarsal right here. That's why the bone deviates. So this area right here is going to be key, this half. All right? So we are going to, again, we're going to stabilize here and rotate here. Got it? Okay? Any questions with that before I get started? Hold on a second. More. Here we go. Anybody have any questions with that? Nope. Great. Okay. So I'm going to now move on to rotational release. And I'm going to ask that you watch me first, and I am going to demonstrate. I'm going to go back to Gwen's foot, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate there. So we're going to go back to the camera. Give me a minute. Go ahead and do that. Share, here I am. Now I'm going to go back to the camera, and let's see what we see there. Okay, yeah. So we see her bunion. I see her bunion. Actually, I think, yeah, no, that other one was good. Yes. And bring it out a little bit. Okay, and back. Perfect. Yeah. Everybody have a good view of that? Just right, yeah, shake your head. Be good. So, what I'm going to do, let me demonstrate first. You okay? All right. She said, Gwen just said, I didn't know this was going to hurt. I've treated one before, so she knows. And again, that's the thing about release. For those of you who have not done this yet, is it is explicitly painful, but it involves movement. And so you really just have to suck it up for about 5 seconds or 10 seconds. If you can do 10, that's great. If you can do 5, that's even better. If you can only do 3 repetitions, that's fine. So what we're doing is we're creating movement around the release points. Okay? Very good. All right, so what I'm going to do is just turn Gwen's foot a little bit, and I think that's a good view. So everybody sees her bunion, and I'm just going to mark it. Okay, so again, here's where I'm going to stabilize. And then here, right, this in between first and second toe at the top of the arch, it's right about here, is where I'm going to go ahead and release. So, all right, so I'm going to get into position here and So I'm going to grasp here and hold this. Okay? And then I'm going to grab in here, and I'm going to, again, I'm not going to get a lot of movement, but it's going to hurt. Okay? So I'm going to, again, try to literally take her foot and move it in a rotational position outward in that direction, because I want to separate these two metatarsals. Okay? Now, you might ask, do I do both directions? Yeah, you do actually, because you can get release in either direction. So we are going to do both, but 9 times out of 10, this is going to be the one that's more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be more valuable. Okay? So here I'm securing, here I'm grabbing, and I'm going to try to rotate. Now, remember, with these release techniques, the person you need to move. So the best place for her to move is going to be her lower leg. Can you see that? So I'm moving her ankle. See it? Her lower leg is moving like a metronome. All right? That's one option. Or if you're doing it on yourself, remember, you could also bring the knee forward like a lunge. Okay? Those are your 2 best bets for this particular release. All right? So I'm going to stabilize here, right? I'm going to move her, and she's going to move back and forth, and we're going to do it. I'm going to try to get out of the view here. Good. And go ahead and move. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And that's it. I am then going to move down a little bit closer to this bunion on top and bottom, and on the underside, just move your foot. If you can see my finger, I'm actually trying to go ahead and move it this way or this way. Okay? I'm going to stabilize, and she's going to move. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, relax. Okay? So that is rotational release. Okay? So you take the bone, you rotate it, and you stabilize the bunion, you hold it, and then you move 5 or 10 times. And that's at the metatarsal. On your membership page, there are directions at the toe, but we're not going to work on toes yet. So for the metatarsal, you just go ahead and grab top and bottom and stabilize at the bunion and then move. Got it? Questions? How do we hold our own feet? No pain, no gain. Yes. Okay. So how do you hold your own feet? I'm not sure I understand that question. Do you mean how do you access your feet? Like how do you reach down to hold your feet? Is that the question? Hands position. Okay. It is just a grasp. Okay? So you're really just going to go ahead and grab here and then here. So this needs to be held still. This needs to be pulled this way or the other way. Okay? And, sorry, the camera moved. You guys see that? Yes. Okay. So those are going to be the rotational directions, one way or the other way. Now, positions that you can do this in, kneeling or with the legs crossed. Okay, so sitting with your legs crossed. If you're sitting with the legs crossed, unless you're a yoga person, you're going to go ahead and make sure that your bottom is high up, okay? And so that your knees are not higher than the height of your hips, okay? With regard to that. And that might be an easier position to access, okay? So I'm going to ask Gwen to maybe be the camera person and see if you can go ahead and get my foot in here. So again, here's my, yeah, okay. I think she's pretty good actually. Here we go. There. You guys, there you go, right there. Okay? So she's at the side of my foot, my leg is crossed. Okay? Got it, just hold it there. So here is where I'm going to stabilize. This is where I'm going to rotate. And then I can just move my knee up and down, or I could actually move my toe. See how I'm moving my toes? Okay? Those are my options here. All right, hold on a second. I'm going to go back to me on the camera because I see some questions, I think. So just give me a second. Okay, how do you need to move the foot when you release? Knees have to not be higher than what? Knees, okay, so, sorry. This is the opposite deal. Okay. So the question is, first of all, the knees should not be higher than your hips. That's in life, actually. So most of the reason why people have back problems and hip problems is that chairs are basically, the way that they're made, are made for people about my height, which is about 5'5". So if you're taller or you're shorter, chairs are no good. So what you want to do is you want to elevate your bottom so that your hips are higher than the height of your knees, okay? And that's to protect your back. And then again, if some people do yoga, what they have you do is they'll have you sit on a yoga block, right? And then you have more range of motion. Same kind of idea, okay? Feel free to take breaks and that kind of thing as well. All right, that was the one question. How do you need to move the foot? Okay. So the second question is how do you move your foot? So let's just say this is my foot and this is my knee, all right? And what I can do is I can move my knee, okay? Here are my toes. I can move my toes. So the idea is that it does not matter how you move the body part or which body part you move. It just has to be about, you have to create movement about your release tool. So if I'm releasing, let's say I'm releasing my finger here, right, which looks a lot like a metatarsal, and a lot like the toe, is I'm rotating, right? Then I can move this way, right? Or I can move this way. Does that make sense to everybody? Or I can move this way. Got it? So again, the important thing is the movement about the releasing tool, and with rotational release, it is your hand is the releasing tool. When we get into the comprehensive core, it's going to be, it could be your finger, that's how I release, but for you guys, excuse me, I've instructed it to be a pencil or a pencil eraser or something like that. Okay, everybody understands? All right, now we're going to, do I grab the metatarsal bone or just before it toward the toes, where I feel the toe space? Okay, just before it toward, okay, when you're on the metatarsal for your stabilizing hand, right, it's going to be at the bunion, okay, which is toward the toes. Okay? And honestly, You really can't do this wrong. As long as it hurts, then you're doing it right. If it doesn't hurt, you know, you probably don't need to do it, and you just move on. Okay? So, like when I'm actually doing rotation right now on my metatarsals. Doesn't really hurt that much, but I don't have a bunion. So that's, you know, there are other things I could do that are going to hurt me much more than that. Okay? Does that answer your question? All right? And yeah. And again, remember I said that metatarsal, the bunion joint, is going to be excessively mobile. So we're really not going to want to do much release around there at all. And dollars to donuts, and you guys can try this right now if you like, go ahead and rotate at the bunion on your foot. It's probably not going to be tender. But when you get higher along that first metatarsal joint, closer that you get to the foot itself, that is going to be more and more tender. Okay? So yeah, go ahead and try it. Does anybody have tenderness at that bunion joint? Somebody does, okay. Then release it. Because if it's tender, connective tissue, when it's dysfunctional, is painful. So if it is painful to release, then release it. And that's why, you know, it's kind of, that's the only rule. Position is never a rule. Because things can be restricted in places you'd never think. Yes, yeah, for sure. Okay? So that's the key. If it's not tender, same thing with the comprehensive core. If it's not tender, move on. Don't waste your time there, right? We really want to get to the meat and potatoes of this. And that's going to be tender points. Okay? All right. Comprehensive core. All right. Comprehensive core, you have a releasing tool and a stabilizing hand. So again, stabilizing hand is going to be where? Bunion, right? So that's the unstable point. So what we're going to do is we're going to stabilize the bunion and then take our releasing tool. And again, metatarsals and the toes in particular, small areas. The smaller the releasing tool, the better. That's why when I see people stepping on like a tennis ball or even a golf ball, for these little tiny areas, they're not getting the full benefit. The smaller the releasing tool though, the more painful. So you do what you can tolerate. If you have to start bigger. But bear in mind, you want to get down to a smaller area, particularly at the metatarsals, in between the tarsal bones, right? And also at the toes. If you're releasing something like the heel or the calf, yeah, a golf ball would be about the biggest you want to go. Okay, even then, the smaller the better. Okay? Okay, so there's a question here. I have a nervy point, between the two metatarsals. Do I just grin and bear it? My answer is yes. It's 5 seconds. So yeah, bear it for 5 seconds and move on. You don't ever want to cause like your foot to go numb for an extended period of time. So you're not going to do it, again, 5 to 10 seconds, no problem. Okay? If the foot goes completely paralyzed, I doubt it, for that period of time. So yeah, I would say just go ahead and grin and bear it very quickly. In fact, I worked with somebody recently who had numbness in their toe, and when I changed the forces and released the areas around the connective tissue, feeding the toe, that numbness went away. And I would not be surprised if people who have neuropathy really lack circulation or their restrictions cause a lack of blood flow to their toes. And that's a theory that I have. Another question. Yes, okay, so somebody is writing Doretta, wrote using a Sora warm therapy natural pain relieving gel. Yeah, arnica, ice, anything that you need to do to alleviate the pain afterwards, you go ahead and do it. Yes, the arch of the foot, good. You know what, the more places that you find that are painful, the better it is. So if somebody comes to me and I don't find anything that's restricted, that is not a good sign. Because that means that I'm probably not going to be able to help them as much as I would like to. So the more tender, better off it's going to be. The good news is that once you release it, it's never, this is what I tell people when they come see me, it's never as bad as it is the first time. First time is the worst. And the reason being is because when you go to massage therapy and that kind of thing, first of all, they rub, which I don't like. And they're not getting specific to the point. And some people are not even getting on the points that we're dealing with. Certainly not for the length of time that we're doing it. So, yes, very painful is good, 5 to 10 seconds. Bear in mind this, is that when you do release work, to touch even may feel like a bruise afterwards for 24 to 48 hours. So if that's the case, don't keep releasing the same thing. Give yourself a day off. Remember, we're starting at the 1st and the 5th, and then we're moving in. So by the time, let's say day 1, you do the first between 1 and 2. On day 2, you do between 4 and 5, rotational release. Then you go to between 2 and 3 on the following day, 4 and 5 the next day, etc., etc. By the time you get back to 1 and 5, right, they should be not painful. It should not feel bruised to touch. Okay? Questions with that? Okay, comprehensive core release. For the metatarsal, another thing that I discovered, and you know the old-fashioned pink erasers, right? They're kind of angled. They work, and I can't find mine, but they work excellent between the metatarsals. I have a picture of one, and I will make sure that it's on your membership page. But that is an excellent tool to use between the metatarsals for comprehensive core in particular. So the comprehensive core release, I'm just going to kind of show you on my hand for right now. Okay. So these are the equivalents of the metatarsals in the hand. What I'm going to do is I take my releasing tool, so I'm just going to get one real quick. Do me a favor. Yeah, can you grab that? Okay, so here I am, and I'm going to go, let's say, in between here and here, right? So I compress with 80% force, and I find a tender spot. Now, ironically, this is not tender for me at all, but it's probably because I haven't stabilized this. I'm going to go like this and see, yeah, now it's tender. Okay. So I find my tender spot, then I go around my imaginary cloth into the direction of most tenderness. I'm going to stabilize. Where am I going to stabilize, guys? At the bunion, right? I don't have one, and I don't have a hand to work right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stabilize at the bunion, and then I'm going to move either my fingers, my toes, or I'm going to move my lower leg. Got it? That's the comprehensive core. Tender spot, go around the clock, most tender spot, and then stabilize and move. Now, again, if you're hitting really, really tender spots, not only can you stabilize with your hands, right? We're going to go in a direction away and toward, remember that? Pardon me, but you can also press the flat part of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and that will help stabilize. Any questions with that? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the comprehensive core. Give me a minute. I'm going to use a pencil eraser, and then I'm going to change the camera. All right. So, all right. So, yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah. So go in front of the computer and see if you can see where to put the phone. Yeah, and then you can guide me. All right, so, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, what I'm going to do, remember, we're going to go to the top of the foot. There we go, kind of in between first and second toe. Everybody can see me, good. Okay, so this is going to be the area, guys. This is the key point, right? Right in between first and second metatarsal. I'm going to go in with about 80% force because it's going to be painful. I'm going to go around my imaginary clock, find my direction. Okay, for me, it's this way. Okay? Good. Now, we're going to stabilize the bunion. So I'm going to take my hand away for a minute. And I'm going to switch my, no, I'm all right. Yeah, you guys can see it. So I'm going to take my finger, and that's going to be my other hand. I'm going to put it on my bunion. I'm going to dent the skin. I'm going to move away from my body, so that way and that way. Now, when you do that, when you do that, this area should become less tender. That's when you know it's the correct direction to go into. Okay, so we go tender around the clock to more tender. Then the stabilizing hand goes away from the body or toward, and that should make it less tender, and then we move 5 to 10 times. All right, I'm going to show you. Okay, so got my stabilizing tool. I'm going to go in. And again, I know that this is stuck this way, so I'm kind of biasing it out already, right? Dent, go around my clock, find my direction. It's here. I take my stabilizing hands, I move away. That makes it better. So I'm just going to move. If it did not lessen it, then I would go ahead and go in the opposite. That doesn't make it better. This direction makes it better, and I can move my toes, or move up my leg, or I can move my lower leg. You see that? Forward and backward, or side to side. Comprehensive core release technique. All right, I'm going to come back on screen. You guys have videos. Hold on. Here I am. What does the tongue do? And how does that work? Great question. And do you use the comprehensive core in the same place that you use routine? Yes, you do. It is going to be a bit different experience, so I do not think that it's going to be a problem to do both. However, remember, we have a week to get all of these metatarsals done. So you have rotational release. You should be able to do first metatarsal and fifth metatarsal in one day, because it's not a big area, right? Because we want you to do 8 minutes a day. The fourth metatarsal and the second metatarsal, right, on day 2. And then the third metatarsal on day 3. And then you begin with the CCR, comprehensive core release, between 1 and 2, right? And then 4 and 5, same kind of thing. And then move way inward wide, because we want to spread the foot. And so we want to release the ends first and then the middle. Okay? So that's that progression. Okay. Okay, great. Other thing is the tongue. Okay, so what does the tongue do? That is a good question. It's something called the Rugae technique. And what I believe it does is that it grounds the upper cervical vertebra so that you have better accuracy So it actually kind of stabilizes the vestibular system. So people who have vertigo, for example, it's a good thing to do. People who have concussions, really good thing to do. And again, it's just another technique. It could be just a distraction, quite honestly. Then you're not thinking about pain. So that, those are my answers to that. But yeah, look up Ruge technique. I've looked it up before, and because it was something that was mentioned by my mentor, and I don't even remember with regards to what people with TMJ. It's another good thing to do also. Tongue is key. Really interesting. If you have upper cervical neck pain, find somebody who can release the tongue. And it's actually done kind of underneath here at the base. I had it done. It was really pretty incredible. Ruge, R-O-U-G-E, I believe. Yes, R-O-U-G-E, Ruge. I'll see if I can find anything on it, and if so, post it. All right, well, I've gone over time today, so thank you for bearing with me. This has been fun for me, and I will be in touch tomorrow. You guys have my email. Reach out to me if you need to. We're going to do the same time on Wednesday of next week. We're going to get into probably the toe or the tarsals, depending on your particular foot. So again, plot your diagram, see where you're at. Don't forget to do it at the end of the week. On the membership page, also take pictures. It's going to show you from a vantage point in particular. You want to do it at the same vantage point so you can see your progress accurately. I want you to send me everything. I want to see how you're doing. This is coaching. Got it? And if I don't see it, I can't guide you. Awesome? All right. Okay. Good night, everyone. I'll see you next week.